What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and to a new game, Farming Simulator 25. My name is Evil One, and in this episode, it's not really an episode, it's kind of like the intro, episode 0, if you will. We're going to talk a lot about my history, and we're going to talk about what we're going to be doing in this series. Why I chose Farming Simulator 25 is because I like it. I actually have a lot of experience with Farming Simulator, just not Farming Simulator 25. My beginnings with Farming Simulator started way back with FS 13. I think it was FS 13. And I actually really enjoyed it, and I got into modding. I actually made some mods for that game. I'm pretty sure the last one that I played was 19. I know for a fact I didn't play 22. And this is, of course, 25. So a lot of things have actually changed. And not having played it for a long time, there's a little bit of a learning curve. Now, full disclosure, I have gone through a little bit of this game and just kind of configured a few things, which we'll talk about in a little bit. All right, so here is a look at the mods that we have really quick. I'll probably show this every once in a while. I'm not going to go over every single one of them. Just take a look. This is what they're called. The majority of them came from the official channel. So this is what we are dealing with. When I use a mod or something like that, I will discuss it. So this map, this is the Judith Plains, Montana map by DR. Is it DR? Yeah, excuse me. DJ Modding. It's a 4X map, so it's big, and that's what I like. A big, giant North American map. Again, we'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to get myself out of the way, and we're going to take a really quick look around this map. It's not going to be like a map tour or anything like that. We're just going to take a look around. All right, so here we are standing in my little character here, which we can actually make characters now. I think it kind of looks like me. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on it. And this is our farmhouse. Giant soccer ball sitting on the porch swing. Not really a porch, but a little covered area, I guess. And we have a sheep farm right over here. I'm gonna jump in the first person here. Sheep farm right here. Got a little playground for the kids in the back, and it kind of drops down here. The main portion of the farm, there's a sign right here. This is the name of the farm. It's Snowcap Hollow Farm. The main portion of the farm is actually across the road here. Here we have a main shop. Oh, let's go in. We have like a main shop area here. We can work on vehicles and stuff. A little lounge area back here, office space. Let's check it out. We got this door. Here we have a fuel container. We can purchase some fuel. We have another little shop here. We have a big equipment storage shed here. We have our grain bins and our corn dryer. Grain dryer here. Coming on down, we have this shop here, which is, again, just another shop to do maintenance and store vehicles. Has an upstairs little office space. I love all the decorations and stuff. It adds that little bit of realism, this lived-in look to it. I actually really appreciate. Whoa! Here we got a grain or a silo for making silage. I believe it's silage. We have some equipment. We'll talk about the equipment here in a little bit. We have a Quonset hut for storing things, or hay, or something, whatever we want to store. And another little shop area. Come on, open. So we got lots of shop space, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is. I got some more equipment. Like, again, we'll talk about that in a minute. And here we have like a cattle operation, I believe. So, all right, let's pull up the map so we can see what we're looking at here. Here's Snowcap Hollow Farm. We own fields 81, 90, 89, 93, and 92. Here's the main farmhouse where we started, and here's all the equipment. If we zoom out here, this is a giant map, as you can see. There is a lot going on. A normal map would be like, well, it'd be a quarter of this, so about like this. And this is just massive, and I love it. I'm here for it all day long. So, all right, let's take a look at some of the equipment. Before I do, though, I need to talk to you a little bit about my actual history, my in real life history, that kind of sets the stage, if you will, for what we're about to see with the equipment. I never thought that I would be putting my history out on the internet like I am doing, and you guys have learned quite a bit about me over the last couple years. But I like to pour a little bit of myself into these games. It's fun for me in that regard. So, like with the military ones, with the truck driving ones, and that sort of thing. With trains, I got into the steam technology, a long, long time ago. Farming. I grew up as a farm kid. I grew up on a farm. It's about 530 something acres by the time I left, and I still actually own that farm in real life. 532 acres, and that's spread over 6 fields. So it's a good sized farm. It's all irrigated, flat farmland in central Washington State. My grandfather owned and operated the farm, and when I turned about 8 years old, I was helping him. It was just me and him, and I had an older brother that didn't want to have anything to do with the farm, and a younger sister who didn't want to have anything to do with the farm. My stepdad, he was always working with a different job and whatnot. So we lived in a house near the farm, and every day I wasn't in school or something, I would go and help my grandfather. And eventually, my sophomore year in high school, I actually moved in with him as my family moved away, and I lived with my grandfather. And about a year later, my grandma died, and so last couple of years, it was just him and I. We worked that farm together until I left for the military. What we grew growing up, we grew a lot of different things. Primarily, it was alfalfa. We grew a lot of alfalfa, but we would have to put the fields in rotation. And so our rotation was corn, followed by beans, potatoes sometimes, and then we did back to alfalfa. We also grew mint. We grew a significant amount of mint, and we grew peas as well, here and there. The mint and the peas we contracted out. So like we did the ground engagement stuff, but like harvesting and whatnot, we contracted that out. We didn't have the equipment for that. So my grandfather, when I was about 8 years old, he taught me how to drive our little tractor. We had 2 tractors for 500 some odd acres, and we had the little tractor and the big tractor. And I've kind of replicated them here in this game. When I was in high school, we decided to it was either my eighth grade year or my freshman year of high school, 9th grade, that we got a more modern tractor. It's a little bit bigger tractor, and we were a New Holland family. A lot of people like John Deere, but New Holland kind of reigned supreme where I was at. So almost everything we had was New Holland. A lot of stuff was New Holland. And it was all old. It was all from the 70s, the 60s and 70s, when my grandfather retired from the Merchant Marines and started farming. So, yeah, that's kind of my history. When I left for the Marine Corps, we decided that he's going to retire. He was getting up there in age. and we decided to lease out the farm, and we sold. We had a big farm auction. We sold a bunch of the equipment and whatnot, and we leased the ground actually to a good friend of mine. I left for the military, and when I was deployed, I got a message that my grandfather had passed away, and if I wanted to go back, and I was deployed, so I decided not to leave my Marines behind, and uh, yeah. So when I got out of the military and I met my girlfriend, my wife, I told her about the land that I had in Central Washington, the farm, and if she wanted to move there into my grandfather's house and work the farm. And she said, absolutely not. That is not happening. She does not want to be a poor farmer's wife living in Central Washington State. It's not going to happen. So I had a decision to make. You know, do I go back home and be a farmer and leave my girlfriend, or do I stay with my girlfriend and figure out my own path and just keep leasing the ground? And that's what I ended up doing. So in this playthrough, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the alternative timeline. I'm going to say that my wife said, yes, I do want to live in Central Washington and be a poor farmer's wife. And I do want to farm roughly 532 acres of irrigated farmland. Unfortunately, this game does have some limitations. I'm not able to replicate exactly what I had with the farm that I had growing up. Obviously, the area could be replicated, but that's a lot of work. And if anybody knows of a good map of Central Washington area, specifically the Columbia Basin, that's where I was from, the Columbia Basin, I'd be interested to find it, but I haven't found a good one, not for Farming Simulator 25 anyway. And some of the equipment as well, I can't replicate. I can't find the mods for. I've tried, I've looked, and that sort of thing. So I did the best I can with what I could find, kind of relatively short notice. I've been looking for a little bit of time, maybe a week or so. So this is going to be close. And we're going to take some creative license, if you will, and go from there. And so my goal is to take this farm from where my grandfather kind of left it, leased out, with all the equipment that we sold, and bring it into the modern era with new technology and expand the farm, and but still grow some of those old crops that we grew. So let's start here with the pickup. This is the in-game international pickup. We had a white Ford pickup that's similar to this. It was a 1970s, 60s, 70s era Ford F100, I believe, or maybe it was a Ranger, but it was like this. It was white. I mean, it looked very similar to this. So it had toolbox and everything. This was our new tractor, a New Holland. Now this is really new. So our tractor was used when we bought it in the mid 80s. So, or excuse me, the mid 90s. So I think it was, I want to say it was like an 86 or 87 New Holland tractor. So, but it was about this big, and it's very similar looking, I guess, to some degree. So here is the International 1066 Farmall. This was our big tractor. And even though we got a bigger tractor, we still called it the big tractor. The thing about this particular tractor is ours had a big cab on it. And it was actually an enclosed cab. And we had duals on the back. And it's what we use primarily for pulling ground engagement implements through the ground. And it was our kind of our workhorse. Then we had the International, I believe ours was a 686. This is a 856 hydrostatic driven tractor. I believe this one's actually a gear drive tractor, much like the 1066. But we had a front end loader on it, two-wheel drive, obviously, and this was kind of our do everything tractor. We actually pulled a sprayer with it, or it was like a backpack sprayer hooked up to a 3-point. Ran off the PTO, and I sprayed all sorts of wonderful chemicals in an open station tractor going through the field. Here we have the Heston swather. Now we did have a different swath head on it. We had the real one. Let me see if I can pull that up really quick. We'll go to our mods. We'll go to, here we go. It was like this. And I like this. I almost went with this for this playthrough because it was similar to this. But this is so wide. I mean, this is ridiculously wide. The one that we had was like this wide, like the one I have on it. So that's the primary reason why I went with this particular cutting head for the swather. All right, we'll come down here. We have the International. This is also the in-game cab over truck. Ours was a Freightliner, but it was red. It had the big old red wings, I guess, kind of going down with split window. Drove the crap out of this truck. It hauled our potatoes and our grain, and we had a flatbed for it as well. So, and this is replicating our potato truck. This is the mod with the IT runner hook. This is the only thing I could find kind of relatively short notice for a potato truck, like in the field potato truck, and we'll talk about how we did potatoes when we get to that point. So, and here the creative license kind of gets a little bit more broad. We have a large planter here. Honestly, I don't remember what our planter was, but I want to say it was a 10 row. I'm not even sure how many of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 row. I can't tell you who made it. I remember it was red. but yeah, our rake, we had a rake. It's called a twin basket, and the closest thing I can find is like this New Holland 230 twin basket rake, but it wasn't a New Holland unless somebody painted it, because it was blue. It was like blue and green, or green and blue, or something like that. That's what we used. It was a 2-into-1, and we had it set up to where it would rotate the windrow over and combine them into one. And yeah, that's how we did it. All right, so this is our potato planter. Not the one that we had, but it was very similar to this. It worked on the exact same principle. I forget again who made it. Old, rusty. That's what I remember. So the baler, we always did small square bales. That's what we farmed. And I forgot to get 2 of these. We had 2 of them, and maybe I'll get a second one for this playthrough. I'm not sure. It doesn't really matter. But this is the in-game one, and I tested it. It does a pretty good job. I did want this one. Let me see, where'd that go? This one right here. And I tested it. And it has the kicker to kick it into a bin that you pull behind it. We never did that on the farm, and I'll talk about bale collection in a second, but it was offset like this. In fact, our balers were the New Holland 275 balers, and we had 2 of them, and they worked quite well. This is copying our 3-point sprayer. I didn't do anything special with it. It's just the base game sprayer. This is our potato digger. And if I can find an image, I'll put up what our potato diggers look like. But it was a pull behind, run off the PTO potato digger. We used the big tractor for a long time until we got the new tractor, and then we used the new tractor to pull the digger through the field. It was a 2-row digger. And we actually had people riding on the digger picking out rocks and that sort of things before it went into the truck. All right, this is our bale collection. Now, this is simulating. I don't like this, by the way. I can't stand this thing. In testing, it's so slow, and I don't like it. But in real life, we had the New Holland 1095 harrow bed. And if I could find a mod of this harrow bed, oh my gosh, that'd be so awesome. If you know of one, please let me know in the comments below. This is a 5-bottom plow. I believe we only had a 4-bottom plow. I couldn't find a good 4-bottom plow, so we got this one. It's 5, it's whatever. This is our cultivator. The thing about this one, I mean, ours was identical to this. I don't remember the name of it again, but we drug harrows behind it. Little metal rake, like mats of metal rakes behind it, and almost like chain link kind of stuff instead of these little tines. But it is what it is. It works. Our disc, again, our disc was very similar to this. It was an X-shape disc, and it didn't fold up like this, but it was about this wide, and we pulled a packer ring behind it. It was a long thing that kind of came out to here with a bunch of spikes on it to kind of smooth out the ground. And then we have our seeder. This did our grains and our alfalfa and stuff mostly. It's about this wide again, and it was much different than this, but it was the same color. It was green. It was actually made by John Deere. So then we're coming over to this Massey combine. This is our corn combine. It was the only combine that we had, and it was actually a New Holland combine, but I could not find a good short notice New Holland combine about this big with this capabilities, I guess. So yeah, that's what we're going with to replicate that, and that is it. That is all the equipment that I've gotten so far. I'm sure I'm missing several things. We'll see. So what do we have over here in our field 81? We have corn from last year's harvest. As you can see, it is March 1st, and it is 7:35 in the morning. So let's pull up the map once again. We gotta wait for it to save. All right, so field 81 was in corn. We have to prep it. We'll probably go back into corn with it. Same with 93. Same deal. Now, I grew up with 532 acres of irrigated farmland with central pivots and that sort of thing. And we don't have 500 acres here. We could probably get 500 acres, but yeah, this one's 22 acres. So there's a little bit of size issues going on here. These two are in alfalfa, and they're already planted, because you can get about 4 years out of a field before you need to do a rotation on it. And we get multiple cuttings per year. We were getting 4 and 5 cuttings a year. On a good year, we're getting 5. And this is our potato field. We always had either a corner of a circle or a small one of our smaller fields as a potato field. We'd like to grow potatoes, and we did contract potato digging for people. So it's just one of the things that we did. So I'm still learning this game. Let's take a look at our settings really quick. Yeah, the seasonal growth, yes, is on. We got our economic difficulty is hard. Time scales ×2. We're going to turn that down to real time for now. Autosave is every 15 minutes. And traffic is on. Seasonal growth, yes. Days per month is 4 days. I don't know if that's short or long or not. Fixed visual month. What is this? Set weather specific months should always be visible. Turn off for dynamic visuals. I'll just leave it off. Snow, we have that on. Crop destruction is on. So yeah, you can see all these things are on here. All right, so right now it is just my wife and I living here on this farm. We have no kids yet, and we're going to try and make a go of it. This is our first year farming, and I'll get all the stuff put away and whatnot and start working. Um, I need to come up with some placeables for buying our seed and fertilizers and herbicides and stuff. So, on the in real life farm, we would have that delivered. Uh, they would had big tanks, and they would actually come and fill up our tanks for like our fertilizers. We'd actually spread that on using the central pivots, and we would spray herbicides either by crop duster or sprayer, backpack sprayer on the little tractor. So yeah, let's see. I'm trying to think about what else. Sell points. We stored everything, all of our alfalfa, until we got a buyer, and then we would sell it by the bale. And I remember the going price, as far back as I can remember, until after we sold the farm, was $100 a ton. And a ton, there's a 24 bales, I believe, was a ton. So yeah. So anyway, I'm going to need a place to store the alfalfa, because that's the majority of what we're going to be doing right away. Corn and stuff obviously will go in here, and potatoes, I'm not sure. We had a Quonset hut like this, but the amount of potatoes that we stored wasn't very big. So, and we had ventilation pipes and stuff, and we had a conveyor belt that would stack the potatoes into our little Quonset hut. And my grandpa was really good at running that while I was running potato trucks. And that's when my stepdad actually came to help, because he would either drive a potato truck or drive the tractor. Usually I was driving the tractor, he was in the potato truck. So yeah, I'm excited for this. I really am. This is a big map, though. I'm very excited for it. It's kind of flat-ish, not really the same as where I grew up, but it's close enough. I'm happy with it. Here is our alfalfa. As you can see, it's starting to grow. So we'll need to get out here too and start swathing it. So that's like a crop duster right there. We rarely hired workers, and I'm not above that. I can certainly hire a worker to help us out, but mostly is just me and grandpa. And so in this playthrough, it's going to be me and my wife is free labor, and maybe we will have other people we can hire as temporary workers or something to help us out with the farm. So yay. Yeah, I'm excited for this. I want to get to work, but we got to start plowing the cornfield and the potato field and get those planted sooner, probably, rather than later. This has got a nice big old dip in it. I really haven't, for a kid that grew up on this farm, I sure really don't know the farm very well. So cool little waterfall over there. I did explore this map a little bit, kind of drove around and took a look around, trying to figure out what farm I wanted to call home. And I'd selected this one, not for any particular reason. I just selected it. The sheep, we might get sheep. I don't know. I've never had sheep. We had some beef cows. Like, I think the most we ever had was like 15 cows. But usually it was like 5, and that was just for our consumption and to pay for the feed. We would sell the beef cows to people, and that would pay for all the feed and whatnot for the cows, so we can have a free meat, more or less. So yep, I grew up eating a lot of meat. So we will likely get some cows at some point in the future, but that's not a priority right now. So yeah. So I think that's going to do it for this one. It's kind of short, but I'm hoping to set the stage. Like I said, this is like episode 0. It's kind of the intro, right? This is what we're going to be doing, and this is why we're going to be doing it the way we are. So in the next episode, we're going to start working, and I'm going to have everything cleaned up, kind of put away. Hopefully I've done a little bit more research and maybe gotten some placeables for the seeds and whatnot, hay storage place set up. I did this lot that you see behind me. That's a droppable delivery point. So when I buy something new, it shows up there. So I don't have to go all the way to the other side of the map and drive it back. It's a 4X map, it's a big map, and in real life, when we bought something from the dealership or whatever, it was always delivered. It was always kind of factored into the price, or they just said it's free delivery. And if anything broke down, we had to take it to the dealership or something like that. They would come and get it, usually for a fee, but we always did our own maintenance and everything. So yeah, that is it in a nutshell. I hope you are as excited as I am about this playthrough. I'm pretty knowledgeable about farming, and let's see if my knowledge in the game holds up. Yeah, I'm excited for it. So stay tuned for the episode 1 coming out soon. Not sure when it's going to be. Hopefully soon, and we'll start rolling with it. All right. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed your time here, and I hope you also have a wonderful night. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.